What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Erin and I make videos on military, lifestyle, and faith to share the lessons I have learned and bring you some encouragement. College decision day is right around the corner on May 1st, and so I want to help you guys out as much as I can. Last week I did a video on the Coast Guard Academy versus civilian colleges, and today I'm going to do a video talking about the differences between the Coast Guard Academy and other military academies. What's the same? What's different? Academy life specifics after graduation. We're going to tackle all of that and more, but first don't forget to like this video to give me some encouragement and subscribe to my channel. Also, let me know in the comments what season of life you're in. Are you a high school student, a college student, former military? I love to hear and get to know some of my viewers. Also, if you are a high school junior thinking about applying to the Coast Guard Academy, make sure you check out the Summer AIM program linked in the description box below. The application deadline is in a few days, so get to it. First, a little disclaimer. I definitely don't have all the answers, and I don't know what it's like to be in another branch of the military. These are just some of the things that I think are important to consider when making your decision, and some of the things that I considered when deciding between the different academies. So that being said, consideration number one, what service's mission do you want to support? After graduation at any of these military academies, you're gonna owe at least 5 years of service. And so I would say definitely do some research thinking about like an actual service versus just academy life. The Coast Guard is technically a part of the Department of Homeland Security versus the Department of Defense. And so just that factor alone brings some differences. So make sure you do your research and look beyond just your 4 years at the academy. For me, I loved the humanitarian aspect of the Coast Guard. We aim to protect the coasts and save lives, while in the other branches, since your job is to defend, you may be put in situations where you need to take a life. So again, just look up the mission statements of each different branch to figure out which one you would be most passionate to support. Next, what are your overall life goals? Since you're going to be in the service for a few years and it'll take you into your later 20s and early 30s, it's important to consider where you want to be in life by then and if the certain service will align with that or not. The Coast Guard has very few units outside of the United States, while it's very likely that in another branch you're going to be traveling outside of the US. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something to again consider when you're making your decision. Next, the time that you're going to be on deployment or underway is definitely a big thing to consider. In the Navy, it's likely that you're going to be deployed on a ship for over 6 months at a time, while in the Coast Guard, just based off of the sheer size of our boats, it's not necessarily going to be the same. So I would definitely do your research about how long deployments can be in each branch of the military and how long you're going to have to be away from your home port, from your house, from your family, and that sort of thing. Consideration number 4 is the size of each branch. The Coast Guard is by far the smallest branch of the military. We don't have nearly as many members, so it's pretty likely that you're going to run into people that you've met more than once in your career. I have found that to be an awesome thing, and the family-oriented aspect of the Coast Guard is something that attracted me initially. So yeah, that's not to say that other branches don't have this. In fact, I know that they do. It just might be that it's more unit specific versus as a branch. Since we are the smallest branch, however, it does mean that we get less funding than the other branches, which makes sense. Again, this isn't a bad thing, but it just means that you're going to probably be living on a Air Force base, for example, at some point during your career, since the Coast Guard doesn't have those big bases like the other services do. Or, for example, when Coast Guard pilots go to flight school, they're going to Navy flight school, and it's not like Coast Guard specific. Again, not a bad thing at all, just something to consider, and it's something that rolls into academy life specific. I've mentioned this in a few other videos before, but the Coast Guard Academy has about 1/4 the amount of students at other service academies. So I know the name and face of every single one of my classmates, versus at Navy, it's probably impossible to know all 1,000 of your classmates. Also, the size of the campus of the other academies is much bigger than Coast Guard. When I went to Naval Academy summer seminar, I was blown away by the size of their dorm, and I actually think it's like the biggest dorm in the world. I'm pretty sure, Bancroft Hall. It's huge, look it up, it's pretty crazy. So that's just another difference. You're going to be living with a lot more students, and there's a lot more people on base, and you might not know everybody, but there's a lot more people to know. So Pros and cons. The other academies are beautiful, Coast Guard's beautiful, life is beautiful. Yeah. Other differences between the academies specifically, I'd say that many of the sports teams at the other academies are Division I sports versus at Coast Guard, they're usually Division III. They have a lot more majors than we do. We only have 9, and the other academies have closer to the number that you'd see at civilian colleges. So look into that if you're looking to study something specific. Also, for the application process, the Coast Guard Academy is the only school that doesn't require you to have a congressional nomination. So I found it to be actually the simplest application that I filled out, but since we are smaller, we don't accept as many students, and so again, like everything, pros and cons. Alrighty, so next I asked some of my friends who took part in the Service Academy Exchange Program to talk a bit about their experience and share some of the specific differences between the Coast Guard Academy and the academy that they spent a semester at. And so I'm gonna include that footage here just to give you some more input.
The Service Academy Exchange Program, essentially you spend all of fall semester at a different service academy. That's simple as it is. You go through an application process kind of outlining your reasons why you want to join, but not only what you can bring, but what you can take out of those places. Well, for me, I went to WestPoint during the fall 2019 semester. Again, that's the United States Military Academy. The biggest differences I've seen immediately is the emphasis the academy places on fitness. So, I mean, also if you look at what encompasses a cadet's class rank, so for us, physical fitness is 5%. For a West Point cadet, it's 15%. But not only that, you'll see everyone is working out all the time. They start all of their mornings off with a lot of group workouts, a lot of emphasis on staying fit throughout the day. It definitely whipped me into shape. I thought I was in shape and I wasn't. So their first assignment is a training assignment. And what I mean by that is, so in comparison, Coast Guard Academy cadets, most of us go to Cutters, right? And we're going straight into an operational field. So we are deck watch officers and we're just expected to earn our qualifications as necessary and of course help our team with those missions. And on the flip side of that, at the Army, they go to their first unit to learn how to do their job. There are actually a lot of different assignments they can get, but they have to learn a lot of those first prior to getting deployed to an overseas unit to conduct those missions. So that's one of the biggest differences for what our first couple of years graduating looks like compared to theirs. Roughly they have 4,400 cadets total, and obviously we have maybe just over 1,000. But what's neat about that though is despite their big size, there's like a unique family dynamic. Size, well, it shouldn't really matter too much, you know, as long as there are, you know, good people. You would just have to ask yourself the question, like, what do you want to do when you are an officer? So I remember, you know, just leaving the place, I really did enjoy being at the military academy. And I don't think I would have had a problem, like, you know, just, you know, being a cadet there for 4 years, but would I have enjoyed the job I would have had as a new second lieutenant and going into first lieutenant? Probably not. So that's just something you have to think about a little bit. So just think about what you want to do as an officer, because I mean, you're only at Service Academy for 4 years. So my advice is just think about what your end goals are and just what you're trying to learn. Just don't be afraid to open up and learn some things.
I went to the Air Force Academy in fall of 2019 and it was a great experience. Probably the biggest difference is the size, I would have to say. Like, they definitely have that family environment, but because the Coast Guard Academy is like 4 times as small than the Air Force, it's a lot better to get to know the people here, and there's definitely that shipmate value, whereas Air Force is kind of like you could be like one fish in a big sea. We go straight out into the fleet, and at the Air Force they have a lot of training before they go into any job profession. We have on-the-job training, so with us it's like we're able to enter the fleet immediately, and they have to take a year up to 2 years to like get that training in before they take their new job. I like how they had all their academics in one building compared to here, and like all the teachers were in one area, which was super nice. So I could get my help in one of my math classes and run over to the civil engineering department, and was like pretty close compared to here where you had to trek across campus. food here's a lot better than in the Air Force for some reason. There's like a lot more options here, whereas there it was just one thing. Liberty, we were able to go skiing a lot, hike to 14er. They have those 14,000 foot mountains in Colorado. We went hiking. We went. Some of my friends went to sand dunes out there. I hung out with like a lot of sponsor families and stuff. Just we were able to have cars, so it was great. Majors. Air Force has a lot more options compared to here, obviously, but it's also the mission set. So do you want to fly and be in that organization? Like their motto is fly, fight, win. Ours is, you know, honor, respect, devotion, duty. So it just really depends on what you want to do after you graduate and also what major, because here our majors don't really apply out in the fleet, but at Air Force theirs do, and they do have minors too. So they have a lot more options per se, but if you want more humanitarian, then Coast Guard is for you.
Hi, I'm first class Joe Collins, and for the first semester of my second class year, I went to the Naval Academy. I had a really good time. It was a really enjoyable experience. It's just so much bigger. Like the school itself is so much bigger. They have 30 companies. We have 8, but like they're like the same size in each company. The traditions that they have, they're unparalleled. The Navy football games are like crazy. It's like this huge thing where all the midshipmen, like they march onto the field. It's like the Hunger Games. Like there's just like a huge crowd of people, all like cheering you on. And it kind of makes you question like reality a little bit. Totally neat. It's such a cool atmosphere and cool culture. Really fun experience to be a part of is Navy football. Look at the academic programs that are offered, because at the end of the day, like your college degree is very, very, like that's kind of like a top priority, and but also like what the mission is and what you'd be interested in doing career-wise. Go Navy, beat Army.
I also have a bit of input from underclassmen who thought about going to another service academy but ultimately chose to come here.
I applied to the Air Force Academy and the Coast Guard Academy. Initially, the Air Force Academy was my top choice because I did Civil Air Patrol for 2 years and all I knew was the Air Force, and they sold it really well. But the Coast Guard had early action. Air Force doesn't. You find out much later. So I found out from the Coast Guard in December. And I was like, okay, I got my number 2, so I know I'm either going here or there. And so I committed to just doing so much research to the Coast Guard. I already did prior research, of course, before applying, but even further in case I was going here. And I did research for 3 months because there's a 3-month gap in between the Coast Guard and the Air Force. And in those 3 months, I fell in love with the mission, the major, and everything about the Coast Guard. And when I found out that I actually got into the Air Force Academy, it was actually pretty anticlimactic. And it only took me 2-3 days to realize that I knew the Coast Guard was for me. And I was really nervous and I was scared that I wasn't going to make the right choice, but I just prayed about it a lot, asked for a lot of advice, and ultimately chose the Coast Guard. And ever since, I haven't had any regrets about it.
I was deciding between here and the United States Naval Academy. I was considering a lot of what each service does, so not just the academies, because both academies are very great, but also their services. So I was looking at what the Navy does as a service every day, and also what the Coast Guard does as a service every day. And one of the big things that really drove me to the Coast Guard as a service was Coast Guard does a lot of different things every day, from saving lives to drug bust, law enforcement, and protecting the environment. So a lot of that all rolled together rather than just preparing for danger that might not ever happen, but it was the service that really attracted me. I was also attracted to more of a smaller setting. Coast Guard Academy was just a nice, really small, tight-knit group, and I really appreciated that. A big part about going to an academy is not just about the military stuff, which is really important, but it's also about the education. So it's definitely choose a major that you're very interested in, and that might decide what academy you go to, but the majors are something that you should really want to do and something you can see yourself doing if you leave the military, whatever branch that is. Initially, when you're finding out what college you want to go to, just keep it open. Really just do a lot of research. And start early as possible, and then really build that resume early as possible. So, it's a little stressful when you get all the college stuff, but the only thing you can do really is just work hard and build your resume, like I said, and then, and then, from my point of view, for a Christian, is just, God will put me wherever wherever he wants me to be, and for me, it's here right now.
Alrighty folks, there you have it. Some of the differences between the Coast Guard Academy and other service academies and things to consider when making your decision. If you're interested in specifics about some of the other academies, check out my friends' channels linked in the description box below. You'll also find some other resources that I found useful there as well. Remember, each academy offers so many incredible opportunities, and with anything, it really is what you make it. Go in with a heart willing to serve others, and God will use you to be a light to the world. Seek a relationship with Him above all else, and you'll keep feeling that peace that surpasses understanding. Don't forget to let me know in the comments which season of life you're coming from, and reach out to me on Instagram at EJ2K if you have any questions about my experience. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.
I don't know why. Oh my god.